Today we're going to jump right in with some B flat major arpeggios. The last scale we covered was B flat major scale, and we did 3 octaves. If you're not familiar with that one, go ahead and do that first. I have a couple of videos about fingerings for B flat major, the scale. So let's just jump right in. As with other arpeggios that we've done before, we're going to not play a scale pattern, we're going to play an arpeggio pattern, which means we're going to skip notes in the scale. So we'll play B flat, D, F, B flat. And it's just a repeating pattern for the B flat major arpeggio. Remind ourselves, before we continue, just because it's good to remind ourselves, in the B flat major key signature, what do we have? Flats. How many flats? 2 flats. B flat and E flat. F major has 1 flat, B flat. C major has no flats or sharps. G major has 1 sharp, F sharp. And D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. We'll venture into the areas that have more flats and more sharps as we continue learning, but for now, B flat major, 2 flats, B flat and E flat. Now since we're doing the arpeggio, we don't have to worry about E flat because there is no E flat in the B flat major arpeggio. So this is just a review. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Grab your bass, and you can play along with me quietly at first and then just join in playing full volume. Make sure you're listening to match pitch. So, first note, B flat, half position, first finger. Open D, 4th finger F, 4th finger B flat. Go back down, F, open D, B flat. So that's the 1 octave B flat major arpeggio. Now the really great thing about this one is that it's working on our hand strength in the lowest position, and we have that 5th in between, and we also have a 4th from 4 to 4. So when we're practicing, make sure we're listening to make sure we're getting that 5th really in tune, and the 4th is really in tune. Now, I'm playing that 4th with my 4th finger. It takes a fair amount of strength to do that. I have a video about playing 4ths that you can go watch, but if it's difficult to do that, just be careful to listen or watch in a mirror to make sure that your pinky is going right across there. Okay, so practice that. Pause the video here, and if you're ready to go on, we will continue. So the second octave will be a little bit different. I use the open D string to shift to this position. I like to go 2nd finger F, 2nd finger B flat. So that's how it changes for the 1 octave to the 2 octave. And then from there, we're going to be able to continue up. So 1st finger, open, shift to this position. It's right here in your thumb should, on most basses, go into the neck right there. And be sure to keep a nice good hand shape as you go up. So 2nd finger F, go ahead and find that for me. And then B flat is right across from that. Now we're going to go to thumb D. And we're going to use what's called a fork. So 1st finger F, this is a little bit wider than normal thumb position. And 2nd finger is right next to that, B flat on the G string. You may notice that there's a pattern now with these intervals, with B flat and F. So F being on the lower string, and B flat on the higher string. They're right next to each other. That's one of the things about playing on a string instrument that has strings that are tuned in the same intervals. So on the bass, all the strings are tuned in 4ths usually. And on violin, violoncello, they're tuned in 5ths. So we start to recognize these patterns. They're just good to note because it'll make it easier to just know where things are. So let's review that fork up here. Find your thumb, D. It's a harmonic, thumb D. 1st finger F. If you're having trouble finding that, you can find your way up by just going up normal thumb position, O, 1 on the E, 2 on the F is the way we would usually do it, and instead we're going to put our 1st finger there. So, sounds a little familiar. So, but before we start learning other pieces, let's go F, B flat. just looking at that hand position, it probably looks a little strange. And that's because we're doing the fork, as I mentioned before. And this is a really useful technique for being able to play a double stop fourth in thumb position or lower, where it doesn't make sense to do a bar. It's just an alternative to a bar. So we're learning it now. The tendency is going to be for that B flat to be somewhere incorrect. So is probably what you're going to get the first time, because that's probably going to feel more normal. The way we get the fork shape is we just rotate the hand a little bit so that the fingers are pointing more down, as opposed to more sideways in our normal thumb position. Okay, so let's review that real quick, and then I'll let you pause so you can practice it on your own. First finger B flat, open D, shift to the F in the third position. Second finger B flat right next to it. Now we're going to do thumb D, first finger F, and fork, second finger B flat. You notice that I didn't move my first finger for that. I'm not going to move fingers until I have to. So if that makes sense, excellent. Go ahead and practice that a couple times, pause it here. And then when you're ready, come back and we'll continue on to the third octave. No octave transposition today, we're going to go all the way up. Okay, so third octave. Now we're going to do a little bit of stretching. We've worked on being very compact for the most part, but now we're going to go up the G string only. So the next note is, we've got B flat and then D. That's a harmonic. Then we're going to have the F. We'll do that with first finger. And then the next note is B flat. We're going to stretch with our third finger. And this is probably not the most comfortable hand position unless you're used to it already. But the reason that I'm having us do this is so that we can focus on keeping our left hand with the fingers where they need to be until we have to move them. So that means the thumb and the first finger don't move when we go to play that third finger. That will probably be challenging at first. But do your best. If you do have to move, I'm okay with you moving the whole hand up. Just to get a consistent intonation. So let's review that top octave. We're going to go from the F, second finger. We're in this nice forked position, and then we're going to go to thumb D, B flat, thumb D, first finger F, third finger B flat. And again, try to keep the hand position for as long as possible. B flat, go down, first finger F, thumb D, second finger in the fork, B flat, first finger fork F, thumb D, harmonic, third position, second finger on the D string, B flat, second finger on the A string, F right next to it, open string D, and B flat. So if that's uncomfortable, and you need to do a 3-octave arpeggio for your school program or for whatever it is, octave transposition is a good skill to be able to do. So we could figure out where to do that. Just drop one of the octaves at some point. So there I was doing it on the D because we have open D to make use of. And that's probably the easiest place to do it. Instead of going to the first octave, go back to the open string, and vice versa on the way down. So, excellent. If all of this makes sense and is comfortable, let's go ahead and play it together, listening for pitch and quality of sound. I'm going to do it in half notes, going all the way up, all the way back. 1, 2, half notes, go. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Happy practicing!